Joining us once again on the Damage Report, candidate for U.S. Senate in Texas, Sema Hernandez. Welcome back to the Damage Report.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me back on your show.
Very glad to have you here and in the holiday season. There's a couple of specific issues I would like to talk about you with, but before we get to that, it's been a little bit since we last spoke about the race. There have been some developments in that race, so give us a little update. How is it going down there?
Well, it's definitely a crowded field, but the one thing that we are very proud of is that our campaign is not accepting or soliciting any money from billionaires. We are 100% grassroots funded, and there is definitely a lot of work to be done in this election. Our campaign has been consistently leading on the issues, and as many of you know, I am a candidate running for U.S. Senate, but I'm also an activist. I am a community resident living in a sacrifice zone. Not only do I sign the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge, I am constantly fighting against the fossil fuel industry, organizing in my community, attending and organizing town halls around the petrochemical disasters that are happening here in our communities, and empowering our community to speak up and to demand more from our county and local elected leaders, as well as submitting information to the TCEQ about regulating the industry and talking about the Green New Deal and helping to transition our economy to a more sustainable economy.
You know, you mentioned there a couple of the different places you do not want to raise money from, and that last week became a big topic politically because of the Democratic primary debate, where there was this back and forth about wine caves and billionaire donors and all that. I will say that for me, I wish that the way that people fundraise, to me, should be one of the most important characteristics of their campaign that people judge them based on. When you're out campaigning, do you find that being able to say, I don't take money from billionaires, I don't take money from corporations, I don't take fossil fuel money, all of that, are you finding that to be convincing in swaying people to your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. The people that I've come across are all working class candidates. And the one thing that is most important to them is having a elected official who does not pander to voters, but also doesn't pander to billionaires. You cannot serve two people or two masters. You have to serve either the people or the billionaires. And I decide to serve the people. That's the whole objective of our campaign and grassroots movement across the country. And here in Texas, when we only accept donations from the working class, that means we are only going to be working for the working class.
Okay, well, you're talking there about the grassroots. I guess the exact opposite of that would be the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, which recently endorsed one of your competitors in the race, that is MJ Hagar, which many have noted is a former Republican, and their strategy seems to be that they think that in a state like Texas, having someone who used to be a Republican is a benefit in the race. I have a feeling that you probably do not agree with that strategy.
Absolutely not, but it's no surprise that they endorsed a corporate candidate who used to be a Republican. And I can tell you, look, I was not recruited to run by political operatives. I was not recruited to run by the political establishment, people like Chuck Schumer, and I am not endorsed by the DSCC, and that is a badge of honor for a progressive candidate in this progressive movement. Those people don't represent, nor do they know the political landscape in Texas, and our 2018 campaign proved that with grassroots funding and a progressive campaign can win 250,000 votes with no media and no endorsements. Right now, our campaign, like I said, is 100% grassroots funded, and we've received the endorsement from the Texas Democratic Secular Caucus. We have been endorsed by Senator Nina Turner. We have the support of actor and comedian and producer John Leguizamo. We are consistently working on the issues and leading on the issues that matter most. We know what Texas needs, and regardless of the media blackout that we are facing, regardless of the discontent of the Democratic Party trying to silence our movement, we continue to fight. And despite our considerably low fundraising numbers compared to the other political candidates, we are still leading in the polls because our message resonates with the working class people in Texas.
I wanted to ask you about the general nature of the race, because on the Democratic side, as you mentioned, it's a crowded field. There's a lot of people. On the other side, there are other Republicans running to try to take out Cornyn in the primary, and libertarian candidates as well. Do you think that this is a sign that people feel like Cornyn, like this is a moment of weakness where he can be taken out? Or is it just that Texas is this state that people have had their eyes on for a long time, as one that could potentially flip from red to blue? What do you attribute the many candidates entering this race to?
Well, much like anything else, it's a opportunity to make money. And I didn't get into this race to raise millions of dollars and set it on fire by hiring political consultants and political operatives. I got into this race because I was compelled to run. I made a promise to people as I campaigned across the state that I would not stop fighting for them. And our campaign right now is 100% grassroots funded. We have volunteers. We have amazing people on our staff. They are leaders in the progressive movement, and we are excited to continue pushing our campaign forward. And those other people who are getting into this in this race, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, or recruited by the political establishment, they do not embrace the same progressive policies that we do, nor do they play outside the field. We are challenging the patriarchy of the political structure, which means although we may not be raising millions of dollars, we are also not upholding the same systems of oppression as they are.
Okay, and Sema, where can people find out more about your candidacy?
Oh, they can go to Sema4Texas.com. They can go onto Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm trying to think of where else I'm at on social media. There's so many social media platforms to keep up with.
There certainly is. Sema Hernandez, thank you once again for joining us on the show.
All right, thank you.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.